My parents didn't just skip my wedding, they erased it from existence. No call, no message, nothing. Just 3 empty chairs in the front row, staring at me like ghosts while I promised forever to a man they'd barely acknowledged. The guests smiled as though everything was perfect, but I caught their pity, quiet, polite, and suffocating. I told myself it didn't matter, but it did, deeply. Two years later, when a photo of my Porsche, a sleek 135k dream, landed on Instagram, my phone finally rang. My mother's name lit up the screen, the same way lightning cuts through a storm. Her tone was tight, deliberate. "We need to talk. Family meeting tomorrow." I said yes, but trust me, I wasn't walking into that house unprepared. Growing up, family in our home always meant one thing: Logan. My brother was the son everything orbited. His trophies, his grades, his big future. Dad called him the pride of the Hale name, as if we were some kind of dynasty instead of a regular family in a quiet corner of Oregon. And me? I was Grace, the one who didn't cause trouble, the one who had her head on straight. I remember sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, sketchbook on my knees, while Mum and Dad rearranged the mantle to fit Logan's newest medal. The air always smelled of Dad's aftershave and fresh polish. The sharp click of Mum's camera shutter felt like applause that never came my way. The one art certificate I ever got, the one my teacher said showed real promise, ended up shoved in a drawer under expired coupons. I once asked if they'd come to my school's art show. Mum didn't even turn from the stove. "We'll see, honey. Logan's got regionals." That became the rhythm of our home. His wins first, my dreams later. When I got a full scholarship to Stanford, the first words out of Dad's mouth were, "That's wonderful. Maybe Logan can transfer there someday." It became almost comical how every moment circled back to him. So I stopped expecting praise. I learned to mistake silence for strength. Years later, when I met Michael, he noticed it immediately. "You talk about them like they're not real," he said once. "Maybe they never were," I told him. Still, when I called to tell my parents about the wedding, I wanted to believe they'd show up. Mum's voice was polite, like she was reciting a grocery list. "We'll try, sweetie, but Logan's firm has an event that weekend." In the background, I heard Dad's voice. "Tell her we're busy." That morning I texted one last message. "There's a seat waiting for you in the front row." I never got a reply. When the doors opened to the vineyard, sunlight spilled in like gold. 90 faces turned toward me, smiling, hopeful. The scent of white roses and champagne filled the air. Michael stood at the altar, his eyes so full of love it almost filled the hollow space where my parents' presence should have been. But 3 chairs stayed empty through the entire ceremony. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," someone whispered, "She's so strong." I wanted to say I wasn't. I was just used to being alone. At the reception, my maid of honor raised her glass. "To finding the family who deserves you." Everyone cheered. I laughed, but something deep inside me cracked. 2 years later, I had built a life that didn't depend on anyone's approval. Also, I told myself. Portland in autumn was grey and ambitious, the kind of city that mirrored the grind. My office overlooked the river from the 21st floor, glass walls and relentless sky. The day the acquisition closed, the screen read, "Crescent Studio, sold, $21,000. My team burst in with champagne. "To Grace Hale, the woman who built something from nothing," they shouted. For a while, I let myself feel it. Every sleepless night, every quiet rejection, every win nobody clapped for. When the celebration ended and silence filled the office, I opened Instagram and posted a photo of the new Porsche, glinting under the evening sun. The caption read, "Proof, not pride." 3 days later, my phone buzzed with an Oregon number. "Grace," my mother's voice said, soft and unfamiliar. "We need to talk. Family meeting. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. I almost laughed. 5 years of nothing, and now it was urgent. "What's this about?" I asked. Her pause said everything. "We'll explain tomorrow." When the line went dead, I stared at my reflection in the black screen. Not anger, not sadness, just clarity. They hadn't changed. They'd seen the car, and now they were interested again. Michael looked up from his laptop. "Everything okay?" "My mum wants a family meeting," I said, turning the phone face down. He studied me. "You're going?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "It's time." That night, I scrolled through old photos. Our wedding, my first office, the car, 3 milestones, 3 missing faces. Mum once said I was too independent for my own good. Maybe she was right. Independence was the only thing that ever showed up. Before bed, I sent a quick email to my attorney. "Please review trust documents by morning." If my family wanted a meeting, I'd walk in with something stronger than guilt. The next day I dressed like armour, navy suit, hair pulled tight, heels clicking like punctuation. Michael handed me coffee. "You don't have to go," he said. "I do," I answered, "but not as their daughter." He nodded. "Then go remind them who you are." The drive to my childhood home felt like peeling back layers of old skin. Every mile closer made my chest heavier. When the house finally came into view, it looked smaller, preserved and lifeless. The same white shutters, the same hydrangeas Mum used to water every evening, frozen in time. She opened the door before I knocked, eyes flicking straight past me to the Porsche. "You've done well for yourself," she said. "No hello?" She ignored the question. Inside, the air smelled of lemon polish and control. Dad sat at the head of the dining table, papers stacked like evidence. Logan and his wife were already there, perfectly posed. "Grace," Dad said, in that voice that used to command obedience. "We appreciate you coming." "I didn't realize I had a choice," I replied, taking a seat. He cleared his throat. "Your brother's had some setbacks. The twins' tuition is overdue. Their house, well, the mortgage is behind." I folded my hands. "And this involves me, because—" Mum jumped in, her voice trembling right on cue. "You're the stable one now, Grace. We thought maybe you could help, just until things improve." Logan leaned forward. "Family helps family." Then Dad slid a folder toward me. "We already drafted the loan agreement, for convenience." My name stared up at me from the signature line. "Convenient," I said quietly. "You must have planned this for a while." "Don't be dramatic," Mum said. "We're asking, not demanding." "Really? Because it feels rehearsed." Logan scoffed. "You always act like a victim. You've made your money, now share it." Dad rested a hand on his shoulder. "Grace, we invested everything in your education. This is your chance to give back." I almost laughed. "You mean the education I paid for with scholarships? Because you refused to co-sign my loans." Silence. Mum's voice softened, weaponized in sweetness. "Think of your nieces. They shouldn't suffer for this." Her words landed like bait. I stood and walked to the window. The same backyard swing set was still there, where Logan once shoved me off for fun. The ropes were frayed now, the paint chipped. I turned back, calm. "Where were you at my wedding?" Logan blinked. "What?" "My wedding. 2 years ago. Where were you?" Mum's lips tightened. "We were busy. Logan had that event." Dad nodded. "It wasn't convenient." The air froze. Even the clock seemed to stop ticking. I met their eyes one by one. "And now you're here because you saw a car on Instagram. Because now I'm finally worth your time." No one spoke. I closed the folder and slid it back across the table. "You'll get your answer tomorrow." As I walked out, Mum called after me. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "It's already as hard as it's ever going to get," I said, and left. In the car, I exhaled for the first time. My hands didn't shake. Tomorrow they'd learn what family really means, when the word stops being a weapon. The next afternoon, sunlight sliced through the dining room sharp as truth. I parked in the driveway, let the Porsche hum for a moment, then shut it off. Mum opened the door, perfectly polished in beige. "You came," she said. "Of course. You said it was important." Dad sat at the head again. Logan sprawled in his chair like the wronged hero. Papers already laid out. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon, her attempt to soften things. "Your brother's situation hasn't improved," Dad began. "We'd like to finalise the loan today." "Before that," I said, unclasping my briefcase, "there's something you should see." Logan smirked. "More photos of your car?" "Not exactly." I pulled out a thick envelope and placed it on the table. The header read, "The Rivera Media Scholarship Foundation. Trust value, $16,000. Mum frowned. "What's this?" "A family investment," I said. "Just not the kind you expected." Dad scanned the page, disbelief clouding his features. $16 million, I said. "Every cent dedicated to scholarships for young women in digital media arts." Logan laughed weakly. "You gave that to strangers?" "Not strangers," I said softly. "Girls like me. The ones no one saw." Mum's voice cracked. "Grace, that's unwise. You could have helped your own family." I clicked my phone screen, starting the recorder beside the documents. The red light blinked. "Just for clarity, I'm recording this conversation, so we're all clear on who asked for what." Dad's jaw tightened. "That's unnecessary." "It's essential," I replied. "You've made your expectations clear. Let me make mine." I leaned forward slightly. "You missed my graduation, my art show, my wedding. Every milestone I looked for you, and you looked away. So no, this money isn't for you. It's for every girl who needs proof that she matters even when her family doesn't see it." Mum whispered, "We only did what we thought was best." "No," I said. "You did what was easy." Logan slammed his hand on the table. "You think you're better than us because you got lucky." "Lucky?" I echoed. "You think working 3 jobs through college and sleeping in my car was luck? You think building a company from scratch was luck? No, Logan. What I am is done." Silence filled the room like smoke. I closed the folder and stood. "You wanted to talk about family? Family shows up? You didn't." Dad's voice turned cold. "Blood is thicker than water." "Then you should have remembered that before you diluted it," I said, walking out. "You can't just walk away," Logan shouted. "I already did," I said. 2 years ago." Outside, the air felt sharp, clean. I could still hear them arguing through the walls as I started the car. My phone buzzed. An email from my mentor, Naomi Blake. "Foundation launch approved. Press release tomorrow." Perfect timing. The next morning, the headlines read, "Self-made founder turns pain into purpose." The photo showed me standing beside the foundation's logo. Calm, composed, untouchable. By noon, messages poured in. Congratulations, curiosity, envy. One was from Mum. "You've humiliated this family." I didn't respond. That afternoon, the front desk called. "Ms. Hale, your family's here. They're making a scene." Through the glass walls, I saw them. Mum waving her hands, Dad trying to control the damage, Logan fuming. My team froze. "Have security escort them out," I said quietly. Mum's voice carried through the glass. "She's abandoning her family." I turned away. "No," I whispered. "I'm saving myself." When the elevator doors closed, the room finally exhaled. That evening, Michael poured 2 glasses of wine on our balcony, city lights glittering below. "So that's it?" he asked. "That's it," I said. "They showed who they are. I just made sure everyone saw it too." "Revenge?" he asked. "Redefinition," I said, smiling faintly. The next morning, the paper ran another headline. "From ignored daughter to influential founder." Beneath it, a quote from my speech. "Family isn't who raises you, it's who lifts you." And for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I felt free. A week later, the rain returned, soft and silver. I watched it streak down the office windows, the city blurred beneath. My inbox overflowed with praise, but one unread message stood out. Family emergency. I didn't open it. Naomi stopped by with coffee. 16 million secured, she said, smiling. How does it feel? Different, I admitted. Like I finally stopped auditioning for a role I never wanted. Freedom always feels strange at first, she said. That night, Michael and I walked home under one umbrella. I didn't check my phone once. A few days later, the news spread. Logan's house foreclosed, Dad's firm under investigation, Mum pawning jewellery for cash. The internet loved it. I didn't. I just felt detached. Done. At the Women in Media Gala, I stood beneath warm lights accepting the Leadership Award. Cameras flashed, but my voice stayed steady. For years, I chased approval that wasn't mine to earn. Now I use that energy to build something that lasts. The applause felt different this time. Not pity. Respect. Afterward, a young filmmaker approached, barely 20, eyes bright. Mrs. Hale, your foundation changed everything. My parents don't believe in what I'm doing, but your story, it gives me hope. Her words landed deep, in a place where pain used to live. You don't need their permission to be brilliant, I told her. At home, the award sat on our mantel where Logan's trophies once stood. Michael caught me staring at it. You good? He asked. Better than I thought I'd ever be. The next morning, I finally opened the family emergency email. It wasn't an apology, just Mom's familiar tone, polished and manipulative. We're struggling. Maybe we can talk. I replied with one sentence. When you start therapy, we can talk. Then I closed the laptop. Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds, turning the city gold. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel invisible. A year later, I stood in the Rivera Foundation's new studio. White walls, glass ceilings, sunlight everywhere. Laughter echoed through the room as our first group of scholars filmed their projects. One girl looked up nervously. Ms. Hale, can you check this frame? I leaned beside her, adjusting the light. Perfect, I said. You're seeing the world exactly how it should be seen. Behind us hung a banner that read, Family isn't who raises you, it's who lifts you. Michael entered with coffee, his smile warm. They're incredible, he said. They're doing what I wish someone had helped me do, I replied, watching the cameras roll. Through the glass wall I caught my reflection. Steady, calm, whole. No missing faces, no empty chairs, just a woman who stopped waiting to be chosen, and chose herself instead.